Hey everyone, just filming a quick video, something I had on my mind, and I'm just sitting outside. I hope you can hear me okay, and just thought I would share this. So the title of this video is, I called 10 psychics. So the topic of this video, or the idea of this video, came about based on a conversation I had, and about how you feel so desperate in this situation. And I've had so many conversations with people where they'll say, you know, I would live in a cardboard box. I would sell everything I own. I would do anything to feel better and to just have peace in my body and my mind. And it got me thinking to my own journey, which, you know, as more and more time goes on, I forget the details. But again, this conversation I had sparked this memory of me calling. I've never talked to a psychic in my life, and I was raised very religiously and always was taught to rely on my faith. And throughout this journey, most of my faith was lost, and I'm still trying to recover it, and I'm not even really sure where I stand with that even now. It was such a painful part of my experience. But I would just Google psychics. I don't even know what site. There was different psychic sites that I went on, and I would call these psychics and charge it on my credit card and just be desperate. And they would say, well, we don't give medical advice. We don't talk about health related things. And I'm like, I just need you to tell me in general, am I going to be okay? Am I going to get well? Am I going to find peace and love my life again? And over and over and over, I would get the response that, yeah, I was going to be okay. I was going to come out of this. And different ones said slightly different things, but the overall message was that I was going to be okay. And it brought some level of comfort, even though I don't even know if I believe in psychics. But you just get desperate, and you just so badly want to know, will this end for me? When will it end? How will it end? What do I need to do? And you're just grasping at straws because you feel so lost. And there was a girl in my support group that did the same thing. I think she called about twice that many, and we just wanted to know if we would get better, when we would get better. And so if you're in that boat, you're definitely not alone. And because this is so isolating, you just you're just always grasping for hope. So you're reading success stories, you're talking to mentors, you're talking to your support people, and you just need to know, like, am I going to get through this? And I just wanted to share that because, again, you just get to this desperate place. And there are, you know, and all the people that I've talked to and my own journey of recovery, it can look slightly different for different people. And so the basic general thing that I say is time is on your side, and support the nervous system and the body as a whole as much as you can. And with most chronic conditions, they are multi-pronged, and the body is a complex organism: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. There's all these aspects to it. And so if you can try to support your body in all of these ways and your whole being, I think it can just help you through this process. And so one thing that I haven't really shared, I feel like, enough on my channel, and I don't even know why. I guess because for some people it kind of puts them off, but I do think that it's an important part of it. Was an important part of my journey, and that was, I used the law of attraction all of the time, and I was familiar with the concepts before these drug problems ever happened to me. And when I really think about it and have deep dived into different neural retraining programs, the ones out there, DNRS, Primal Trust, a lot of the basic premise of it, at least the top down part of the process, is law of attraction, neural retraining. It kind of is all the same thing. It's essentially creating new pathways in the brain that mirror a different reality. So the way that I did this, I mean, I could get into a lot of details in other videos about it, but generally, like, I had spent such a long time because I had dual overlapping withdrawals. My whole journey was long, and I tried every supplement. I paid for so many different things, different tests. I was just desperate to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And of course, when you read these success stories and you see, well, this person replenished their vitamins and minerals and got better, and this person did whatever, A, B, X, Y, Z treatment and got better, or this person just said time. And so it drives you crazy, and you go down so many different rabbit holes, which I did. Obsessed with the detoxing and the gut health and the vitamins and minerals and the O testing and just everything that you do, right? Just out of desperation and trying to make sense of it. And so I did that for such a long time. And I finally was like, I have spent all this money that I did not have, and I've tried all of these things, and I don't feel like anything has made a significant difference. And at the time and through most of my journey, I really didn't I didn't even know that there was coaches. I just didn't, I was trying to kind of figure this out on my own, essentially, which I know a lot of people are. And so I stopped trying to do all of those things and chasing all of those different aspects that I just mentioned. And what I came down to after, I guess it was after my reinstatement, that I really accepted that it was the drug all along, because so many of my symptoms were mental. I was obsessed with, for such a long time, with whether I had just developed mental illness. I couldn't understand. And again, now I see patterns where people tend to have, physical and mental symptoms, and the mental tends to take longer to resolve. But I didn't have any of this information at the time. And so I was like, okay, I've tried all these protocols. I had doubted whether it was the drug all along, because my pattern and my symptoms were not exactly like anybody really that I could find in the forums. And so I was obsessed with that. And so after the reinstatement and getting infinitely worse, I really started to be able to see clearly that it was the drug causing it all along. And even though I was at my worst then, it brought me some type of relief to be like, okay, now I can finally stop trying. I guess for some reason it made sense in my mind. Okay, it's the drug. And all of the people that have gone before me and recovered, they say it's time. And yeah, different people use maybe some different modalities. But I was like, one thing that helped me so much in my life in general previous to this was the law of attraction. And again, since sort of deep diving into the neural retraining realm, it's all very similar. And so I really started going down that route. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do now moving forward. I'm going to stop all the protocols, the supplements, the chasing, the test. And that's okay if you do that. Like, I think all of these things can be an important part of maybe your own puzzle putting together. But from what I've seen as a coach and my own journey, it's time, it's supporting the body as a whole. And for me, it involved a lot of what I call living in the end. And so there's all kinds of stories you can find online of people that have done miraculous things in healing their body through this type of work. And so I did this in different ways. So sometimes I would just write in a journal as if it was today's date, or sorry, how did I do it? I don't remember if I did today's date or a future date, and I would write about my day as if it had happened and I was healed and what my day looked like. Sometimes I would just write sort of like affirmations, and I would put my hand on my heart and I would read them out loud, and I would start crying. But what I did mostly was a lot of visualizations, which if you go into the DNRS brain retraining program, a lot of what they do, sorry, there's a wasp, is visualizations. And so the way that I did it was I would make a playlist of, this is what worked for me, of songs that conjured up nostalgic memories that were positive, that I could really, music is very powerful for me, so it could take me back to a place where I was happy and at peace and healthy. And I would listen to the songs that reminded me of those times, and I could really conjure up this vivid visual along with the emotions that went along with those times. So I would do that, and then I would, after I kind of got into that feeling, I would then shift the visuals to a future without withdrawal. And really, it would invoke all this emotion, and I would just envelop all of my senses in this experience. And essentially that's what they're doing in neural retraining. So I don't feel like I talk about this enough on my channel, but I do think, and maybe it was the passage of time anyway, maybe this was part of my recovery. I don't live in a parallel universe, so I'll never know for sure, but at the very least it helped me to somewhat escape and it felt like I was doing something to rewrite my future narrative. But again, this, when you look at it in detail, it's essentially neural retraining, which I've seen a lot of people in this community, especially with physical symptoms, but with the mental and stuff as well, be able to find healing, or some healing at least, or be one of the pieces of their healing through these programs. And so I would do this day after day after day after day, and I had to really know, I guess ahead of time, and really kind of write it down. What would my ideal life be like once I'm healed? And so I would really get into that feeling of having no limitations in my body and my mind. And I did this so much because, again, it felt like I had some level of control potentially over my future. And it also helped me to just escape, even though my mind was still in a very bad place. I could almost do both things at once. I'd had this mind that was relentlessly looping, but I could also get into this visual. It was like I had two brains. It probably sounds crazy to some people, but that was really powerful for me, because it felt like, again, one thing I could do that just, it felt like it was changing something, or it had the potential. Because again, before I ever got sick, I used to do these types of things, and all kinds of crazy things happened in my life by doing these visualizations. And so I thought, if there's really no limit, and I can really influence how things turn out, and my cells are really listening to everything that I'm saying, thinking, and I can, again, influence that, I'm going to do it. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that. If you guys have done any of the sort of formal neural retraining programs, if you believe in any of this type of stuff, it can be powerful. And maybe I'll talk more in detail about how I did this in the past and when it applies to this. But anyway, the point of this video is that I understand the desperation. I get that some days it just feels like you're grasping at straws, and you'll do literally anything. And I did, again, all of the protocols and the things, and I just didn't feel like they were doing much. And I just felt like the one thing that I, in the past, had influenced my future, whether that was a delusion or not, was this mental work. And so I think even if you're walking around and can't relax, you can do this while you're walking. If you're bedridden, you can do it while you're in your bed. And this can be very powerful stuff. And again, really the premise of neural retraining and trying to create those pathways. And I want to say too, sorry, I don't want to make this very long, but I'm gonna wrap it up here. This is not about like it being all in your head. That I want to say that, like, this is not a psychological problem. And someone said that to me on my old YouTube channel, and it hurt me so deeply, I deleted my whole channel. And I was just like, no, I'm trained in psychology. I know all of the cognitive techniques, and none of it does anything. But I think when you're really getting into the pathways, so these pathways are formed, or can be formed. And if you think about the way that I always go back to when it becomes kind of complex is when someone has a limb removed and they can still feel pain in that limb. The only way they can do that is through a brain pathway. And so if something is being created, and this experience is so traumatizing, so the pathways can be created based on the traumatic event of the adverse event or the withdrawal, then if there's a chance that that is part of what could be going on here, again, I was willing to entertain that at the time that I was going through it, then I'm going to do what I know about this type of retraining to try to make a difference in the symptom. And it just, the amount of hope that it brought me, because again, I had seen in the past what it had done in my life, and I'm like, if there's truly no limit to this, and it truly can be something that is like wired in and then unwired, even if that's only part of it, I was willing to do it. And maybe that influenced my recovery. Maybe it was just a time thing, I don't know. But again, the ability to kind of escape into another body mentally and another future mentally, at the very least, it kept the hope alive. And it also provided some level of escape, even though mentally I was still wrecked. So I just wanted to share that. Let me know, have you guys ever done anything like this, like called psychics? Or I know there's all kinds of like different healers out there. There was even a guy that I talked to in, I believe it was India. I don't even remember how I came across him, but he was like, yeah, I can heal you, I can cure you. And at that time I was just calling it OCD, and he's like, yeah, we do it all the time. And I mean, just random people on the internet that you know nothing about, but you just get so desperate. So I hope you can relate to this, or that this brings you any sort of comfort and relatability. And I hope you guys are doing okay, and I'll see you next time. Bye.